Restructuring is the corporate management term for the act of reorganizing the legal ownership, operational, or other structures of a country, a state, or nation to make it more profitable or better organized for its present needs. It's no longer news that the call for restructuring has been the order of the day in our country, Nigeria, for some time now. Some parts of the country feel they are being marginalized, while some feel they are being cheated. Also, we have witnessed occasions where ex-leaders of this country and some top politicians have called for the restructuring of this country. Be having learned and great gentlemen in the studio to discuss with us what they understand by restructuring, what it entails to restructure, and if restructuring is the solution to the problem of Nigeria. Welcome to today's edition of Christians in Politics. I am Smart Simon, and we shall be looking at an interesting topic that has been packaged for your viewing pleasure. Meanwhile, we encourage you to share your contribution through phone calls or SMS. To discuss the topic, the call for restructuring are the Honorable Dr. Kingsley Okoronko, Accord Party candidate, Member House of Representatives, 2019 election, representing Umunechi Federal Constituency, Abia State, and Barrister Gibson Agbo, Abuja-based legal practitioner. You're welcome, sirs.
Well honored. Thank you.
Viewers, we shall go on a short break to see a video, and when we return, we shall kickstart the discussion. Please stay tuned.
I will look at restructuring in terms of an overhaul of the system, not in terms of division. Division does not ever help. If you look at the history of this country, the more you divide local government, the more you create local government, the more you create divisions. The more you create states, the more you create divisions. The more you create countries out of countries, the more you create divisions. So there's no two way about it. The only one way is unity of purpose. Let us understand what we want for our country. So if you talk of unity, restructuring, I will think that our institutions need to be overhauled, be it security, be it whatever, ministries, parastatals, and so on. They need to be looked into, and that will better the country. As far as I'm concerned, this is what I think that need to be restructured.
My lecture today is titled Towards a New Nigeria, From Federal Fatherism to a Commonwealth. Let me be clear from the onset that I speak for no one. I speak about no one. I speak for myself, from my heart, about my country, the nation of my birth, for which I have a relentless passion and longing for its glorious future. The truth, however, is that to survive and thrive, states must become financially independent of the center in Abuja. The United States of America, from which Nigeria derived its federal system, is essentially a coercive federalism. The federal government uses conditional grants to the states to mainly support social infrastructure and insurance programs. Essentially, these are carrots to get the states to do whatever the center expects. Nigeria's system is essentially a revenue-sharing system. It is less restrictive compared to the US federal system. However, in the United States, whose political system we have borrowed, most of the resources of the states come from taxes, personal income taxes, corporate taxes, property taxes, and consumption taxes, as well as administrative fees. Federal grants account for only a small fraction of the resources of the states. Now, the opposite is the case in Nigeria. Federal revenue allocations are the lifeline of state governments. Cut it off, and 92% of Nigeria's states will fail. To be clear, only 3 states in Nigeria can survive without a federal revenue allocation. This is a federalism of fiscal dependency. It is a federalism that is fiscally unhealthy for the states and the federal government. Because Nigeria depends on oil for over 70% of government revenues, any decline in the price of oil creates fiscal and economic volatilities that reverberate across the states. What's needed is greater economic and fiscal autonomy for the states. The issue is less about state or regional autonomy, but financial and economic viability of Nigeria's constituent states. We must rise above mistrust and divisions and make history. Not the history that is written about us, about northern Nigeria, eastern Nigeria, western Nigeria. Not the history of divisive political parties, but a new history that we commit to write for ourselves, the history of a new Nigeria.
Thanks for staying tuned. And if you are just joining, this is still the Christians in Politics, and we are looking at the topic, the call for restructuring. And still with us in the studio are the Honorable Dr. Kingsley Okoronko and Barrister Gibson Agbo. Remember, this is a live program where you can call in or text to share your thoughts regarding the topic for discussion. And also, we encourage you to like, follow, and share our various social media platforms. On YouTube, it's youtube.com/ACNN-TV. On Facebook, it's facebook.com/ACNN-TV. On Instagram and Twitter, at ACNN-TV. And our website is ACNNTV.com. And let us right away start our discussion. And let me start with Barrister Gibson. What is your understanding of the word restructuring?
Well, thank you. Nice to be here. Well, within the context of our discussion this morning, I'll look at restructuring from the political angle.
Okay.
Because even restructuring is, we have restructuring within the corporate world. When companies want to have 1 or 2 developments, they have to structure the company. We have restructuring within social sector. But within the context of our discussion this morning, we're talking about physical restructuring of Nigeria.
Okay.
And it means to reorganize the system. When the system is not working, when the institution is not working well, you have to restructure. You have to bring steps. You have to bring new innovations to get a system to work. So within the context of restructuring is to re-engineer a system, to restructure, to put a system where it's supposed to be. The system is not working, you have to restructure it. From the word structure to structuring. So even in engineering perspective. So it's a whole lot of opening up things to make things to work within a system.
Okay. Yeah. All right, thank you so much. Dr. Kingsley, what is restructuring?
It's a privilege of being here.
Mm.
Just like you have said, it entices to restructure generally things that are not working normal for a new reasonable structure to take place. However, our constitution reviewed 1999 that has to do with the Federal Republic of Nigeria that was documented in the 2014 CONFAP report, which I think if was adopted, we could have gone a long way by now. And secondly, politically, I think it is a time for the younger politician, the younger generation, to take over power from the old politicians, to put new things in place. I think that's just the few understanding of structuring based of my own knowledge.
Okay. All right, thank you so much. Now, Barrister Gibson, what does it entail? What we've just done now is to define what restructuring is all about. Because over time, when people talk about restructuring in this country, everybody's having his own understanding of what it is. Some see it as true federalism, where the 6 joint political zones should go back and then handle their own affairs. Some see it as resource control, where you control everything that is within your state and just pay a little to the federal government, and the federal government should be left with only foreign affairs and defense and interior, while all other things should be handled by the states. Some want us to go back to the regional system, where we have the eastern region, we have the mid-west region, we have the western region, we have the northern region. Some want us to go back to that era and all of that, and so they need to actually understand what restructuring is all about. It's very, very important. Now, having looked at that from our own perspective here, can we now look at what does it entail for a restructuring to take place?
Well, thank you. Basically, there's a lot of time in the history of a nation for them to get back to the roots. You agree with me that Nigeria is not working. It's true that Nigeria is not working as a country. And the issue of restructuring encompasses all aspects of our nationhood, economically, politically, and socially. We must begin to define Nigeria from the context of an emerging world order. And I agree with the issue that the time for restructuring in Nigeria is nothing but now. For instance, our political system is not working. For instance, all aspects of Nigeria, all the communities of Nigeria are complaining. There's a growing anger in the land. People are complaining. Diverse ethnic groups are complaining. The Southeast are complaining of marginalization, the Southeast are complaining of marginalization. So there's need for us to sit down around the table and discuss the way forward for this country. The only way to put Nigeria back on track is to restructure Nigeria. Because when you restructure a country, you are bringing the country from an ashes of a wounded country to greatness it aspires to achieve. And how do we go about it? We go about it through looking at our diversity, looking at our shortcomings, and looking at the ways to improve on our social standing. For instance, our political structure is not working well. You agree with me based on the issue of but we can structure the system as it's find it now and make sure that all states are viable. We can make it that Lagos, which contributes almost a bulk of the nation's economic income, how is Lagos faring? States like Congo State, states like Imo State, states like Bauchi State, we must make the state viable. We must discuss our political fortune. We must discuss our political standing. It's time to begin to discuss how do we go from here to the next level. So restructuring basically is for us to discuss Nigeria as it is now and begin to forecast Nigeria in tomorrow. And begin to look at agitations of anger bring the land. Because without us discussing within the round table, without us discussing and asking ourselves the questions of are we better one, or are we better to begin to discuss how to make the country to work for each and every Nigerian? That's the issue.
Okay, thank you so much. Now, you keep on hammering on discussion. Let us discuss. Let us discuss. How about Dr. Kingsley? haven't we discussed enough in this country? Is it discussion that is our problem, or lack of proper planning and implementation? Because I know that confab was conveyed by the former president, and so much was discussed. Until today, we cannot lay hand on the document of confab, and so much money, taxpayers' money, we use to pay people that came together to discuss a way forward. Is it discussion or implementation that is the problem?
I think it's the well-doing by the government. We have discussed a lot. This nation has what it takes to be a great nation. Are you talking about the mineral resources that we have? What God has given to this country? In terms of federal character, the rotation of presidency, these are some of the things that I know that most of the people are seriously yearning for. We have talked. The implementation is something that the government needs to look inward. But we cannot fold up our hands. So the stakeholders have to come together to see what we can do to achieve a better government for this country.
All right, thank you so much. For me, it looked like our politicians don't have the willpower. There is no political will to restructure the country so that the country will work. It looked like the way it is now, it benefits some politicians.
Yes.
And because it benefits them, they do everything possible to knock out any idea of restructuring.
That's true.
Each time you talk about restructuring, if it is not what they want,
Benefit them, yeah.
what would benefit them,
Yes.
it is trashed. So, sir,
Yeah.
we watched the video during the short break we had. What is your opinion on the speakers in that video? I don't know whether you still remember the content of the video.
Yes. I agree. I looked at the Dean of the Church of Nigeria, and of course the Former Minister of Agriculture, who is now the African Development Bank President.
Yeah.
And what the understanding about restructuring is on two diverse aspects. The Dean talked about unity. He was hammering on unity in the face of all this situation. Then the Minister was talking about the issue of fiscal restructuring, fiscal federalism. But let me just bring you to the 2005 and 2014 reports. Of course, these are two reports that we all saw. The attempts were made to get the country back on structural terms. But of course, you saw how those reports were not able to see the light of the day, because the 2014 report, which was the Eastern report, has not been able to, has been unable to come to terms. Now, but in my understanding, like my brother said, you have all talked, you have discussed. But you have to understand that there are aspects to restructuring.
Okay.
There are structuring of having a kind of sovereign national conference where diverse nationalities will discuss independently on their own. That was one of our champions some years back, SNC. And of course, the other one we were talking about was the one initiated by the governments. Of course, Obasanjo and the Goodluck Jonathan initiated their own. Of course, we saw how the last one under Goodluck was so well handled. But because of one or two issues, the incumbent government failed to work on it. Now, the incumbent government is also talking about having their own restructuring terms. So you can see how the whole thing is going dilly-dally from one point to the other. So, but basically, we are aware. I agree with Dr. Adeshina. That's also about fiscal restructuring. That's the key thing.
So that the states will be viable.
Can be viable. He's talking about 3 states in Nigeria. Of course, you know the 3 states he's talking about: Lagos and Rivers and maybe Delta. These are the most viable states in between that range. But then we cannot continue to have a system that states are always come to Abuja with
they depend on what they will get.
Yes, just to go to Abuja and every month you come for fact meeting. That's number one. Then second one is the issue of governance, because the key thing is the governance issue, not even the issue of the governance issue is the key thing. Because when we get it right in governance issue, we just be on the move. Are people part of governance structure in the states? Our electoral system is bad. People are appointed and elected. Our legal system is bad. Our political system, everything about the system is so bad. Restructuring is basically to give people power back to the people. They were able to say, this is what we want. Our constitution defines that power belongs to the people. That's even democracy too. So we must be able to give power to the people to decide what they want. Like you said, we are living in a country where some few minority determines the fate of the majority of this country. That's the problem of Nigeria. We must we must take our step from this present situation to where Nigerians can be empowered. States can work viable, good states can be able to amass this wealth and pay some tax, like you said. We have property tax, we have other tax to the federal, to the central government, and the states will be viable. So the economy will be better for Nigerians. The issue of power will be discussed. We cannot continue to remain like this as a country. It's so disheartening. We cannot. The is not working.
Thank you so much. So, our system is not working.
Not working at all.
And one of them that is critical and germane for us to actually look at is our electoral system, where the governor alone can sit down and okays from councillor
to everything. He's the Lord.
Everything.
He's the Lord of the manor, yeah.
He can say, okay, this one will go, this one will go, no, this one will not go, this one will go, this one will go. And everybody that is endorsed by the governor will be the one to win. I don't think a country like that will move. All right, let me come to you, Honorable Doctor. That is a statement here that has been made by some top Nigerians. And they say, only restructuring will take us out of woods. This was a statement that was made by Professor Jerry Garner, Dr. Obi Ezekwesili, and Juan Aya in our country. Now, what can you say? Do you agree with them that only restructuring can take us out of wood?
I think 100%. Professor Jerry Garner, an erudite scholar, I think he has seen it all, and I agree with him that it's only restructuring that can take us from out of this wound that we are facing presently now. And whether we like it or not, things are very critically ill for this nation. And the only thing that can get us out of this mess is to come together as stakeholders and restructure this country. Nothing more than that.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much. Now, let me come to you. Will you want to say anything on this statement? Only restructuring will take us out of wood.
It's the key thing. It's the first thing. Nigeria must restructure. I agree with these stakeholders. In fact, I even comment letter. We have had it from the past leaders. We have had it from more than 10 years ago. From the era of 1990, now we had a lot of stakeholders discuss about the need to restore this country. From the Afeniferen to the Pandef to the Ohanese, these stakeholders have been calling for restoration of this country because they believe it's the way out to heal the wounds of the vision in this country. So they are already complementing what have been said by these stakeholders in the past, these social groups in the past, that it's time to social. And I still believe that this government, as they said, of course, we are aware that the governor of Kaduna State was the head of the APC, the ruling party's structuring committee. Of course, he's recommended. In fact, even the ruling party is also saying we believe that there needs to restructure Nigeria. But it takes a political will because of the interest of the minority within the structure. They won't want this thing to happen. Because when you restructure Nigeria as a country, that means you have finally given power out to the people. That's the fear. That's why we live, because it's how to make the system to work. Make the issue of potential presidency, make the issue of resource control, make the issue of economic viability. These are all that encompasses institution. And behold, we also talk about the issue of having a real national constitution that will give people, that will be our own constitution. Because even if I'm a lawyer, but our constitution as it stands now, it stands in relation of the will of Nigerians. So we want to have a constitution where Nigerians will decide this is what we want. I don't know why we're afraid of having this discussion going on. I don't know why. We must be able to have this discussion on. That's the way to go about it. We want this to work. I love Nigeria. I want Nigeria to be one united nation. But for us to be one united nation, we must be able to heal the issues of marginalization, the issues of cries and hues of Nigerians in different backgrounds. We must also talk about our national wealth, our national character, our political structure. These are things we must all agree. Nigeria must move on.
Thank you so much. Now, let me come back to you, Honorable Dr. Kingsley Okoronko. Are you in support of states controlling their mineral resources? This is because every state in Nigeria, God has endowed with one mineral resources or the other. Sure. We all have them. And so, some see this restructuring that we are clamoring for that we are talking about as controlling the mineral resources. That is, when a state controls its own resources, that means they will generate their own fund. And from what they generate, they will be able to take care of themselves and just pay some to the federal government. Are you in support of state controlling their natural resources?
I think it's wonderful. Peradventure, for example, let me just give you an example in terms of either security or fire service. We have an experience, something happened in one of these states. Based on my information, the firearm men said that they wrote a proposal to federal government, to Abuja. They are still waiting for one or two equipment that could have saved lives, that could have saved property that worth billions of nairas. So what are we talking? If the state can be given the power to generate, to transform, to do whatsoever they wanted to do, and now bring a quarter or a percentage to the federal government, that's to say that I think most of the things that are happening in the state will be more viable. But however, I know the advantage is more than the disadvantage. Yes,
all right, thank you so much. The advantage of states controlling their mineral resources is far more than...
So let me just come in. Based on the issue of the state's own resources.
Yes.
Of course, for instance, states like Ogun State that shares common boundary with Lagos State. You know how much the Ogun State turns out every day? Ogun State is a viable state. States are river state. We said that Kogi State here at the background. Kogi State is one of the most blessed in this country. But go to that state and see what is going on there. The resources, because of the exclusive powers of the federal government, the exclusive position in our constitution with respect to control of resources, these resources are in the hands of the federal government. Even the Minister of the Solid Minerals of this country are in the hands of the federal government. And how far have we done with solid minerals? They are not well utilized because of intricacies of power. But when you give states like Kogi State to be in charge of the mineral resources, the mineral deposits in their states, and then there's an understanding about percentage of tax to be paid to the federal government, why would Kogi State develop to the way it's supposed to be? So I agree that states should control the resources. And that's one of the basic questions of our national, the issue of restructuring that is on discussion today. So states should be able to control the resources and pay a percentage of whatever is the turn up to the federal government to be able to take care of the needs of the federal system.
All right, now still on you, Barrister Gibson. Recently, the Niger Delta Avengers released a broadcast declaring that they will blow off some places in Lagos and Abuja. I don't know whether you watch it.
I watch it.
Okay, so if the federal government failed to hand over the oil in the south-south region to the people of the region, so looking at the way the federal government is treating the cases of bandits, herdsmen, Boko Haram, do you think this is a big threat to the security of the nation? What can you say on this demand?
Well, as a peaceful citizen of this country, I don't subscribe to any act of violence, any act of bringing the in any angle. I don't subscribe to that. I understand the grievance in the Niger Delta region. Of course, the situation of banditry, herdsmen, and the way they are treated by the federal government, by the states, let me use the word states, in quote, it's not encouraging. But even at that, we must all continue to explore the avenue of dialogue, avenue of peaceful coexistence. The situation in the country, the state events in the country in the last few weeks, is quite disturbing. It's quite disturbing.
It is.
And I'm so afraid of where we're going from here to. The food blockades from the north to the south is so discouraging. So if you are blocking food from the south to the north, from the north to the south, and then the issue of, so it's a whole mix of things. But I want to appeal to our brothers in the Delta region to please hold on for now. I want to believe that this government is doing everything possible to down the situation in the land, because there is a growing situation in the land. They have every right to make agitation for their own resources based on the diversity. You cannot continue to treat herdsmen and bandits as with kid gloves, while issues of security has become so bad, become so deplorable. So, of course, you are aware that if you begin to have issues in the Delta region, then of course our economy is already bleeding.
Exactly.
So we must handle these things with care. We must handle these things with care. So I agree that I want to appeal to them for understanding, for peace. I want to appeal to the stakeholders in the Delta to go for peace, and let's see how these things will end up. But government must rise up.
All right, thank you so much. Government must rise up.
Yeah.
In fact, recently I watched a video clip by the Minister of Information.
Sure. Yeah.
And he was asked, why is this government yet to proscribe the bandits and all of these people that are causing problems in this country? He said, and they are not known by any name. As a result, they cannot be proscribed. But the other people, they are known by a name, and then they are causing they are causing a problem in the country. That is why they were proscribed. And I said, what kind of excuse is that?
Lame excuse, yeah.
What kind of excuse is that? You have people who are threatening the existence of the country.
Yes. Openly.
There is insecurity everywhere as a result of their activities. Agriculture has been affected because people can no longer go to farms. And you still say it's because they are not known by name. I just do not understand. Viewers, we will leave it there. We want to go on a short break, and when we come back, we will continue our discussion. And please, when we return, we will encourage you to please call us and make your submissions or send us SMS. Thank you.
We need assistance.
Oh my God! Bombs everywhere.
How can you say Christians should stay away from politics?
Leveling buildings, setting cars on fire, and shattering the glass in windows more than a mile away. Schools, homes, businesses were destroyed.
What is happening to this country?
The Bible says the government of this world will be upon his shoulder. Jesus must rule and reign. If we are going to have peace, if we are going to have equity, justice, Jesus must be enthroned.
The first church to evacuate the dead and wounded from the scene. Another loud explosion was also reported in the central Nigerian town of Jos. The attack was hit during Christmas Mass on the outskirts of the capital, Abuja. A witness counted at least 19 dead there.
Christians must participate in politics. How do you tell me not to show interest about how my life will be wrong?
Your job is to represent another king in another kingdom.
So da sun je bindigogi suna an fara harbe, so dia su uku ne a daki, sai dia ya tashi ya hawo jabin, ya je ya hade ta kasa ya bude ta gate escape door ya fita, ya kuma ya bi shi ya fita, wannan kuma da ya tashi da zinci da baccin zai na ne zai bi ya fito karfta su, so suka kama shi, su harbe shi ba sai sun suka yanka shi, sun yanka shi.
Boko Haram week, the Islamist extremists have been terrorizing villages in Gwoza. There are reports of hundreds dead.
that Christians got involved in politics.
Christians should go into politics. They should go and register, be members of political party, be card-carrying member of political party, seek for elective office, and don't forget, if you are going there, be determined to make a difference.
It is unfortunate today that far too many believers are expecting the solutions to our problems to land on Air Force One. And until the immune system of God, the church, is brought back up, the bacteria and viruses of destruction will continue to destabilize our country, ebb away our freedoms, and take away our liberty.
When the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. But when the wicked beareth rule, the people mourn.
Viewers, you're welcome back, and like I did mention earlier, we encourage you to please call in for your comment, because these are very, very important issues, and I believe that when it is properly handled and is carried out, all of us will be happy for it. Now, before we went on the break, we were looking at the way the federal government is treating the case of bandits, herdsmen, and Boko Haram. So far so good. Only Boko Haram are seen to be terrorists, but bandits, in fact, the man called Sheikh Gumi, Ahmed Gumi, has come out to say that bandits are not criminals, and it's because of the things that has happened to them over time. That is why they are doing this. So all manner of things. Now, let me come to Dr. Kingsley. Will restructuring this nation help in reducing borrowing? You know that we have borrowed so much. Somebody was talking about 13 trillion naira, but in dollars I'm not sure now, but someone has mentioned that. So we have borrowed so much. Will you think that if we restructure, it will help to reduce the rate of borrowing by our government?
Of course, for me, I don't see any reason why we must keep on borrowing. I think, if I may say, it's a means of stealing our resources. That's just the truth of it. Restructuring this nation will reduce the huge amount that Nigerians always borrow yearly. And it will help to create so many amenities and make sure that some of the states will be well viable.
Okay. Let me hear your opinion on this.
Well, it's so unfortunate. Well, borrowing, if well channeled, we meet its own needs. If we borrow for infrastructure and those infrastructures are in place, we must have achieved the goal for borrowing. So borrowing, in essence, is not bad economically, but when you borrow for things that are not viable to the growth of the nation, it becomes a mess. And it's unfortunate that we have turned into more of a borrowing nation. And Nigerians are asking, why? Where are the whole borrowed money for? What are the sense of borrowing those money, and where have they been channeled into? So, but when you make states viable, when states are viable, they'll be able to, because they'll be able to meet the needs, the economic needs of these people. Of course, we are borrowing for railway, borrowing for airport issues. They are good, but we are already turning into more borrowing nation every day because of our poor fiscal structure, because of our poor fiscal approach to economic issues. So we need to begin to ask questions. We need to begin to ask questions: is this borrowing still needed in time of the country now? Because every day, I'm just asking questions. We are done with this borrowing. We don't know where this whole money that are borrowed, where they're channeling to.
And in fact, personally, I feel that if you don't take care of security, no matter how you borrow, you are not likely to be able to achieve,
of course,
the
goal, the
essence of that borrowing.
Yes.
And apart from that, investors cannot come. I won't be hearing that in your country there is chaos, there is killing here and there,
everywhere.
there is kidnapping here and there, and then I will bring my investments into the country. It won't work.
It won't work, yeah.
Until we handle security, we should forget about people coming to invest in this country.
It's true.
It will not work.
It will not work.
Let me still be with you. With regards to minimum wage, some governors are calling for differentiation of minimum wage due to internal generated revenue each state is producing. What is your take on this?
Well, the issue of minimum wage is it has its own legal backing. Minimum wage has a legal backing, which states are bound to key into it. And having agreed to work to ensure that it's implemented, when states any state that back out of it, also looking at having an issue with the labor union. So, well, I will agree with you on two things. That one of the reasons why the minimum wage issue is still at a teething stage now is because of maybe the last year pandemic, which the world is still grappling with.
So even before the coming of pandemic,
because that's what I'm saying, because we have a country where our state chief executives are lords. And the frivolities are the order of the most of our states. They don't know what to do with money. Those money, workers cannot be paid. They cannot be paid. What is that minimum wage? That's a peanut. That's a peanut. You can't pay that money. In a country where electricity tariff are high, petroleum is on the high, prices every day is skyrocketing, in the same economy. So it's a whole lot of the unfortunate situation for us to have not to agree, for some states not to agree to pay the workers the minimum wage. But then that also brings us to the question of viability of states. But most states survive barely on Abuja every month. So the IGR of most states are not viable. They can't meet up the IGR expectation because they don't have the IGR to create the wealth. So the federal government controls all the resources, and then at the end of the month they'll come with the plates to Abuja to fact meeting and then collect their own patry allocation. So it still boils down to the issue of restructuring. Restructuring, because if you restructure the country, if you restructure, for instance, why would the state, if a state like Kogi State will be controlling most of the resources? And then maybe if they are having like 2 million naira based on the situation as it stands, and when the situation they're going to have extra 15 million naira, for instance, what would they meet up the needs of the state? They construct roads, they do so many things. They still be viable. They'll be able to initiate many projects and complete it. So states cannot be able to pay them because one, the states are not viable. Two, the governors, the most of the have no idea how to create wealth and to move the economy. And three, because they don't know how to go from here to the stage. So they leave patri on Abuja. So for us to have this viable, let us discuss how to move the country forward from states, local government to states, state to the federal, and then have a synergy to move the country forward. In fact, recently, it dawned on me that one of the horrible places to work is to work in a local government. Oh, that's another system. Nothing is working in local government. People only wait for salaries. Alpha, they go pay, and after that you come, you go home, you stay at home. Local government workers are not producing it. Local government is not productive, and that's because the nation has made it to be so. If they say local government, try as much as possible to generate, do it in such a way that you'll be able to generate, you will be productive, I think that it will have been better. Because sorry for continuing, because the states are in charge of local government. Because the state makes laws with local government. But the same local government every month also have a share in the allocation of every month. What is this allocation? And the bedrock of every society is the local government at that local government level. Exactly. But unfortunately, in Nigeria, they're not meeting because they are not the state government. The state is going to have strangulated them. They can't achieve any goal. When they even have county police in other places. What they do is that when they receive this allocation, they just say it's per salary, and then the other one goes to governor's pockets, and then they join with it. All right, Honorable, can you tell us the benefit of restructuring? What are the benefits of restructuring?
fact, it has a lot of benefits. And right from the states, things should be working normal. The masses themselves, they will feel the impact of the governance. They will feel the impact of the government, within them, very closer to them, without being migrating from their villages to the city to look for their ends meet.
Okay. So, any disadvantage of restructuring?
I don't think disadvantage in restructuring. The only disadvantage is the elites doesn't want it to come into place. The elites who are benefiting from the system.
So the disadvantage is that it won't benefit
the elites. The elites doesn't believe in the system is favoring the elites. The Eastern system, not the defense system, not favoring the elites. The few that enjoy our national cake. They enjoy the national cake. So that's the only one that is disadvantaged. But what about the majority of millions of Nigerians? Why can't we have restructuring? So the country, everybody will have access to the national wealth, access to the national cake. But as it stands now, it's a few percent of less than 10% of 50% of Nigerians. And what Nigeria is the way Nigeria is at the moment. It's okay. We're okay with Nigeria. It's okay. They say with national unity in the face of the country battling with insurgency, banditry. Like you said, the Sheikh even said that bandits are not criminals. That they also are asking for their own access to national wealth, trying to justify them with that of the ones you have in Niger Delta. So it's a whole lot of things. So it requires a strong political will. So the issue of restructuring, for me, stands between 1 to 100% intact. It's the best thing for the country. It all now depends how do you want to go about it. The only people that will not benefit, that say because they believe the system, even as it stands now, do you know that in Nigeria now we have banditry as a means of amassing national wealth, of taking national cake. You go and kidnap students in the school, the next day you call for money. They will have to go and exchange your money. It's just a very terrible situation we find ourselves.
All right, thank you so much. Now, states will benefit so much, but that has not happened yet. Should we now say that states who have not been able, who cannot sustain themselves, states that are not viable, should they match them? Should they go back to where they used to be? Like Taraba and Adamawa State now used to be Gongola. Should they go back to Gongola State so that they can join resources together, since they cannot, or Abia should go back to Imo and join Imo if they cannot survive it? What do you think?
Well, I disagree on that, because it will make states to be more competitive. Every state has what God has endowed in that state. What they just need to do is to look inward and to tap the untapped resources in their land. There's no any state in this Federal Republic of Nigeria that has not less than 6 or 7 mineral resources. Quote me. So why can't they?
All right, so we are going to be praying a lot now for our nation, that this restructuring will actually work, so that we will have a system that is working, like in the United States with the recent happenings, but because the systems are already strong, everything that has happened, the system has taken care of it.
Yes.
The system has taken care of it. So you can't say, I will not do it. The system has a way of taking you out of the equation. So if we can strengthen our systems, our institutions are so strong, and that things are going on well, we won't have some of these problems that we're having. Well, God will take us there.
Amen. Amen to that.
I have a dream that one day Nigeria will be better. Let me get your last word. What is your advice to the government as we round off?
The first thing, we have to talk about the security of this nation. Our security has been compromised. I think it's high time that the federal government to look inward, or else we don't pray for anything to happen to this country. But we must come together to talk about the security of this nation, which has to do with this restructuring.
Okay.
Yes.
So your advice to the government is they should look into the security.
It's having compromise.
Yes, sir. Your own last word as
Well,
we round up.
my last word is that it's time to face reality. It's time to push this country forward. It's time to agree to the yearnings of Nigerians that our country is drifting. It's time to take Nigeria back to these people. And the way forward is for this present government, as far as this present government owe this country that duty, that goodwill, to begin to engineer the process of having the diversity of Nigeria come to table and discuss that this country is long overdue for restructuring. Restructuring is the way forward for this country. Restructuring is the way forward to assert the growing anger in the land, the security anger issue, the issue of poverty, the issue of economic downdwelling. These are all issues that we can all come together and discuss. Are we ready to remain as one nation? If you're ready to remain as one nation, we must now deal with the issues that affect us as a nation, the issues of the issue of marginalization, the issues of oppression of citizens, the issue of lawlessness. These are things that we must all come to terms and agree that it's time to discuss them. And I'm using this opportunity to appeal to the president of this country and the leadership of this country to engineer this process. Nigerians are calling for a new Nigeria. And I believe in this new Nigeria, where all of us can say, I am proud to be a Nigerian because my country has lived up to my dreams as a nation.
All right, we want to thank you so much, Honorable Dr. Kingsley Okoronko, a candidate of Accord Party for House of Representatives of Isikwato Umunechi in Abia State. Thank you so much for finding our time to come.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Yeah, please keep working, keep trying. When you fail, you continue. Study Abraham Lincoln. We want to thank our brother, Barrister Gibson Agbo, for coming. Thank you so much for being there.
My pleasure to be here. My pleasure.
And viewers, this is where we call it a day until we come your way again, same time, same station. Next week, I am Smart Simon.
The views and opinions expressed on this program are those of the guests and viewers and does not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of the Advent Cable Network Nigeria, ACNN TV.
We need assistance.
Oh my God! Upon everywhere. Fire,
Why do we fall ill? Is it possible to stay without falling ill? Is God interested in our health? Can we get access to cheaper health anywhere? Do you want tips on how to stay healthy? Health Watch, a program to educate you viewers on how to take care of your bodies and deal with different health-related issues.